Fire serves a vital role. It clears areas for species that need sunlight. It keeps diseases at bay by thinning and eliminating unhealthy trees. And it provides nutrients to the soil. Fire is an essential part of the cycle of life in western forests. And just like each forest is different, each forest's fire is unique.
Here in the western United States, those forests had typically evolved where fire would come every 3, 4, 5, 10 years. The forest developed a structure that was beautifully adapted to fire. In fact, it was sort of collaborative with the fire.
The native people that first settled this land understood the importance of fire, and as its first land managers, they learned to use the fire to their advantage.
Historically, the tribes have always done prescribed burning as a management tool to keep the inventory of the brush and the biomass and the trees to a minimum level.
Amerindians from New Jersey to California burned our forests to create open patches for game and food.
They kept the forest floor pretty clean so they could have basket material and hunt game more easily.
Native Americans actively managed our wildlands here in California for millennia using prescribed fire and prescribed burns. You would see, 4 to 12 million acres burn annually with prescribed fire.
A prescribed burn works like this. During a part of the year when the land is dry enough to burn, but not so dry that fire can't be controlled, often in late winter or early spring, an area of the forest is purposely ignited. As it burns, fire managers ensure that it stays in the controlled area. The goal is to burn the underbrush, grass, and other material on the forest floor, but not to burn so hot that the larger trees are damaged. This accomplishes many useful things. It clears out the forest, making it easier to travel and hunt. It rejuvenates the soil and makes room for beneficial plants to grow that would otherwise be choked out by the underbrush. And perhaps most importantly, it makes it much harder for uncontrolled fires, for example those caused by lightning, to move from the forest floor to the canopy. This is because controlled burn removes the so-called ladder fuels, any tall woody material that could create a fire path from the forest floor to the canopy. In this way, prescribed burns provide a very resilient fire protection for those living in or near the forest. It's a very efficient way to manage forests, which raises the question, if fire is a natural part of western forests, and native peoples who live there develop ways to coexist with, and in fact thrive with fire, what changed? How did we go from this to this?
So we're trying to get back to a state where we have fire on the landscape that has that historical restorative impact that is part of that traditional ecological knowledge and that tribes had actively and successfully managed for millennia. The evolution and the history of this is important because cultural fire was eliminated in California starting in the 1600s when you started getting colonizations.
The new arrivals found giant trees growing in open savannas, full of grass with which to graze their animals, acorns, berries, and abundant game. The new settlers thought they had arrived in Eden, an unpeopled land God had made specifically for them. In reality, they were witnessing thousands of years of careful forest management by native peoples.